You are listening to the audiobook of Ice Candy Man by Bapsi Sidhwa, narrated by Mangla. Chapter 1. Shall I hear the lament of the nightingale, submissively lending my ear? Am I the rose to suffer its cry in silence year after year? The fire of verse gives me courage and bids me no more to be faint. With dust in my mouth, I am abject. To God I make my complaint. Sometimes you favour our rivals, then sometimes with us you are free. I am sorry to say it so boldly, you are no less fickle than we. Iqbal, Complaint to God. My world is compressed. Warris Road, lined with rain gutters, lies between Queen's Road and Jail Road, both wide, clean, orderly streets at the affluent fringes of Lahore. Rounding the right-hand corner of Warris Road and continuing on Jail Road is the hushed Salvation Army wall. Set high at 8-foot intervals are the wall's dingy eyes. My child's mind is blocked by the gloom emanating from the wire mesh screening the oblong ventilation slits. I feel such sadness for the dumb creature I imagine lurking behind the wall. I know it is dumb because I have listened to its silence, my ear to the wall. Jail Road also harbours my energetic electric aunt and her adenoidal son, large, slow, inexorable. Their house is adjacent to the den of the Salvation Army. Opposite it, down a bumpy, dusty, earth-packed drive, is the 1.5-room abode of my godmother. With her dwell her docile old husband and her slave sister. This is my haven, my refuge from the perplexing unrealities of my home on Warris Road. A few furlongs away, Jail Road vanishes into the dense bazaars of Mozang Chungi. At the other end, a distant canal cuts the road at the periphery of my world. Lordly, lounging in my briskly rolling pram, immersed in dreams, my private world is rudely popped by the sudden appearance of an English gnome wagging a leathery finger in my aya's face. But for keen reflexes that enable her to pull the carriage up short, there might have been an accident, and blood spilled on Warris Road. Wagging his finger over my head into Aya's alarmed face, he tut-tuts. Let her walk. Shame, shame, such a big girl in a pram. She's at least 4. He smiles down at me, his brown eyes twinkling intolerance. I look at him politely, concealing my complacence. The Englishman is short, leathery, middle-aged, pointy-eared. I like him. Come on, up, up, he says, crooking a beckoning finger. She not walk much, she get tired, drawls Aya. And simultaneously I raise my trouser cuff to reveal the leather straps and wicked steel calipers harnessing my right boot. Confronted by Aya's liquid eyes and prim gloating and the triumphant revelation of my calipers, the Englishman withers. But back he bounces, bobbing up and down. So what, he says, resurrecting his smile. Get up and walk. Walk. You need the exercise more than other children. How will she become strong, sprawled out like that in her pram? Now you listen to me, he lectures Aya, and prancing before the carriage, which has again started to roll, says, I want you to tell her mother. Aya and I hold our eyes away, effectively dampening his good Samaritan exuberance, and wagging his head and turning about. The Englishman quietly dissolves up the driveway from which he had so enthusiastically sprung. The covetous glances Aya draws educate me. Up and down they look at her. Stub-handed, twisted beggars and dusty old beggars on crutches drop their poses and stare at her with hard, alert eyes. Holy men, masked in piety, shove aside their pretenses to ogle her with lust. Hawkers, cart drivers, cooks, coolies and cyclists turn their heads as she passes, pushing my pram with the unconcern of the Hindu goddess she worships. Aya is chocolate brown and short. Everything about her is 18 years old and round and plump. Even her face. Full-blown cheeks, pouting mouth, and smooth forehead curved to form a circle with her head. Her hair is pulled back in a tight knot. And as if her looks were not stunning enough, she has a rolling, bouncy walk that agitates the globules of her buttocks under her cheap, colourful saris and the half-spheres beneath her short sari blouses. The Englishman no doubt had noticed. We cross Jail Road and enter Godmother's compound. Walking backwards, the buffalo hide water pouch slung from his back, the waterman is spraying the driveway to settle the dust for evening visitors. Godmother is already fitted into the bulging hammock of her easy chair, and slave sister squats on a low cane stool facing the road. Their faces brighten as I scramble out of the pram and run towards them. Smiling like roguish children, softly clapping hands, they chant, Langar deen, paise ke teen, tamba mota pag maheen. Freely translated, lame Lenny, 3 for a penny, fluffy pants and fine funny. Flying forward, I fling myself at Godmother, and she lifts me onto her lap and gathers me to her bosom. I kiss her, insatiably, excessively, and she hugs me. She is childless. The bond that ties her strength to my weakness, my fierce demands to her nurturing, my trust to her capacity to contain that trust, and my loneliness to her compassion, is stronger than the bond of motherhood, more satisfying than the ties between men and women. I cannot be in her room long without in some way touching her. Some nights, clinging to her broad white back like a bug, I sleep with her. She wears only white khaddar saris and white khaddar blouses, beneath which is her coarse bandage-tight bodice. In all the years I never saw the natural shape of her breasts. Somewhere in the uncharted wastes of space beyond is Mayo Hospital. We are on a quiet, wide veranda running the length of the first floor. The cement floor is shining clean. Colonel Bharucha, awesome, bald, as pink-skinned as an Englishman, approaches swiftly along the corridor. My mother springs up from the bench on which we've been waiting. He kneels before me. Gently he lifts the plaster cast on my dangling right leg and suddenly looks into my eyes. His eyes are a complex hazel. They are direct as an animal's. He can read my mind. Colonel Bharucha is cloaked in thunder. The terrifying aura of his renown and competence are with him even when he is without his posse of house surgeons and head nurses. His thunder is reflected in my mother's on-your-mark attentiveness. If he bends, she bends swifter. When he reaches for the saw on the bench, she reaches it first and hands it to him with touching alacrity. It is a frightening arm's-length saw. It belongs in a woodshed. He withdraws from his pockets a mallet, a hammer, and a chisel. The surgeon's pink head, bent in concentration, hides the white cast. I look at my mother. I turn away to look at a cloudless sky. I peer inquisitively at the closed windows screening the large general ward in front of me. The knocks of the hammer and chisel and the sawing have ceased to alarm. I am confident of the doctor's competence. I am bored. The crunch of the saw biting into plaster continues as the saw is worked to and fro by the surgeon. I look at his bowed head, and am arrested by the splotch of blood just visible on my shin through the crack in the plaster. My boredom vanishes. The blood demands a reaction. I moan dutifully. There is no response. Mm, I moan, determined to draw attention. The sawing stops.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?